I think what we need to do as a society is we more have to look at where the problems are. Like, we don't really look at the problems. You know, when we see that face of the individual and he's sentenced off to prison, he or she, more likely he, is sent off to prison, we basically block them from what we think about, not realizing that 95% of the people incarcerated are going to return to society. So we don't really, give them any skill sets to return. The old mentality was, if you take a person incarcerated and you give them education, you give them this, we're rewarding criminal behavior. Well, it's not that we're rewarding criminal behavior. We're making a statement that people who go to prison, we look at it in the plainest terms. We have to remove people from society because they don't play well with others, period. We come up with these laws, you don't follow these laws, we removed you from society, which is extremely abnormal, which is needed, which is needed. So then you have to say, why is it that this individual needed to be removed from society? And then you're going to see that they probably need it more than Ray in society. Can come, he can make money, he can have a mentor, he can have business, economic interests, and he can get along with people. Well, why did John or Brian not be able to do that? And we need to address that. The problem is that there has been this mass of, it's called the prison industrial complex. And, this is where this is bipartisan. This is not a conservative issue. This is not a liberal issue. This is not a black issue. This is not a white issue. We have all bought into creating this massive prison industrial complex. And we've actually created, unfortunately, human economy no different than race-based slavery, and we've done this and we don't feel safer. Like in 1980, we didn't have nowhere near the prison population we do today, and we don't feel safer today than we did in 1980. And that's the type of questions we have to say, like, if this prison industrial complex made it safe, then let's keep it. If it doesn't make it safe, we need to look at how do we change that, and we need to really address the fact that there's some discrepancies in how we incarcerate. Statistically, whites are 3 or 4 times more likely to use drugs than blacks, but blacks are 10 times more likely to be incarcerated for drug-related crimes than whites. And that isn't because black people sell drugs at a higher rate than whites. It's because black people are policed at a higher rate than whites. You don't have task force set up in rural white communities or predominantly white communities just looking to incarcerate people. If I told you I was going to pay you 60 grand, 70 grand a year, which is a great wage, to go around and to lock people into fine crimes in a white community versus a black community, you would see the same incarceration rates. But we don't do that, and because of that, what we've done is now we have exacerbated the problem, because now we have, like you spoke of earlier, we have hip hop, where I'm not critical of it because it's a reflection of what it is. Even if the individuals that are not in all hip hop, and I'm not going to generalize it, but in that segment of hip hop that gets the most attention, that is the urban or gangster rap music, it's indicative and reflective of what they see. Even if we can crack jokes all day about the person generally who makes these music, it's not the one living that life. But regardless of that, it is a reflective of America that we see. But what we need to do, I think, in answering your initial question, is we need to collectively just look at what the problem is. And if it does not work, then we need to completely break it and tear it down. And I think until we are honest about that, until we look at the fact that we incarcerate, and just look at Detroit, Wayne County incarcerates over 70% of the people in the state. And these are statistics I implore everyone to check. Wayne County incarcerates 70% of the people in the state prison system, yet has no prisons in the state. So you're incarcerated for what you did in Wayne County, and then you're sent to the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, where there's no buy-in. The staff has there's no benefit to them if you come home rehabilitated, because you're not going to do it in their communities. So you have staff that are, abrasive to reform or to change. There's a culture shock, there's a disconnect in, they believe what they see on TV is the black experience, and they treat it as such. I was just watching a documentary about a debate between James Baldwin and William F. Buckley in 1965 at Cambridge University, in which Baldwin is arguing, is the American dream at the expense of the Negro? And what Baldwin says is that the damage is more done not necessarily to the black person who is subjected to, you know, racism, but the damage is done to the white person that believes that this behavior is right, that believes that this behavior is just. So I think we can make a parallel and say for the white person in rural America that feels that treating African American or a poor white as an animal for periods of years of time is okay behavior. What has happened to that individual and what buy into the system? And then we release them back into society, and we don't do anything to get people connected to the speed of everyday life. You know, we just throw them out here and we say, look, we give them a list of everything you need to do not to come back, but we don't tell you how not to come back. And I think that we have to address that. We have to identify that and address that. And until we do, we're just throwing money. I mean, you can just gamble. We might as well come to the bar and drink.